Okay, hello, welcome. This is the mix breakdown for Moving Castles by Streetside Sound. Okay, so first of all, first thing I'm going to do in any mix, import the tracks and see if I need to turn them down. Because you don't want to be sending, sorry for my allergies, you don't want to be sending too much signal to the master bus. So, if the tracks are adding up to be too loud, then I'm just going to grab all the files like this. The way you do this in your DAW might differ, but basically just trim all the files down to the level that is appropriate so you're not clipping and you have a bit of headroom to do what you need to do in your mix. Okay, so just gonna undo that. So yeah, that's first step, and then we might as well play the track a little bit.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no...
Okay, so I can, I have the demo mix as well here too, the rough mix. So, I'll go between the two. So when it's on the S, the red S here, then that's on the demo mix with all these muted. And then back this way, it's on the actual mix. Okay, so let's try that. We can go from about where we were, and I'll switch over a little bit.
Gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No streets I shorty. From the gutter, you bitches is going to seek higher ground. There's levels to shit elevator. My pen gon' put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom. Let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If a brain genius might keep her around. Stay in your lane, it's only one street sight sound.
Okay, so that's a little sample before and after. Okay, so let's get into it. We've set our tracks to the appropriate level. I didn't turn these guys down too much. And then, first thing I was going to do probably is look at the beat. I wanted to get more low end in there. I mean, it's a pretty simple beat, right? You got an 808, you got a kick, a snare, a hi-hat. Not really. That's about it. So yeah, wanted to get the low end nice and slamming, a bit more knock on the kick, and then just in general more instruments to bring up with the vocals, because I knew I was going to beef the vocals up as well, and particularly the snare, getting the snare to sit right with the vocal, and it's different between the two vocalists on the track, so we'll get into that. Okay, so first thing I'm doing on the beat here is Oxford Inflator a little bit. So this is going to sort of increase it's adding a harmonic content. It's going to increase the perceived loudness. And then with this curve thing here, I'm dialing it back a bit to the negative side. So that's, what does it say here? It's adding harmonic content, but it's a more subtle change to the sound, and it makes it like warmer, like more low mids probably. So we can hear. Let's hear the beat with it and without. So this is with. Okay, so you can hear what that's doing. It's just adding some, it's just filling it out, right? And then that's going into an EQ here, And then, so like this stuff here, these two bands, there's some dynamic. One of them's pulling down dynamically, but it's just very small adjustments, right? In the mid range, 1.2 to 1.7 kilohertz, and this is for the snare. This is to control the snare while I'm pushing the beat, harder, just so the snare doesn't get too piercing and out of control. So that's basically it for plugins on the beat, and then I'm just cutting, and then again there's another little notch here at 1.35 kilohertz. So again, that's all three of those working in conjunction just to fine tune the snare against the vocal. And yeah, so that's pretty much the beat. We can get into the vocals, but I think it makes sense to start almost working backwards at this point. So the whole mix, so the beat and the vocals and the background or whatever. There's not many tracks here. It's pretty much all on 3 tracks. So that's all going off to this bus here, and it's hitting this fancy master bus multiband compressor, titanium. It's like a tube tech is what it's emulating, a multiband tube tech. So yeah, so this is splitting it into low, like 100 hertz and below, and then the mid band is like sort of 100 hertz to about 5 kilohertz, and then the high band is 5 kilohertz to 20. So yeah, it's splitting it into 3 band, and we're just gently massaging those with a bit of individual compression, and then on the output here, all 3 of them have gain controls. So this becomes like a multi-band 3-band EQ. So I'm jacking up the lows a little bit, and I'm jacking up the mids not quite as much, and then I'm not turning up the highs hardly any, or if at all. So yeah, that's happening. So let's hear how that is on the whole mix.
Get a taste of the crown. If a brain genius might keep her around. Stay in your lane. It's only one street side sound. Only one street side sound. If a counterfeit bitch could just step into me, I'ma leave her ass bleeding 6 feet in the ground. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm flying around. This beat is bitch made.
Okay, so and you can hear, you can see, I should say, the gain reduction on all 3 bands here, low, mid, and high, when it's playing. So yeah, go back and check that out again if you want. So that's happening. That's a lot of, you get a lot of color and depth, I think, out of this compressor. I don't use it all the time, but when it works really well. Okay, so, excuse me, that's my stomach. So this is just for level control, I think. Not doing any EQ there. So then the whole mix from there is going off to this tape recorder plugin. And I like to use the high frequency repro head here. So it's like a high frequency. It sounds different than any other like EQ high frequency boost or whatever. This guy adds a lot of low frequencies as well, just a lot of beef, and sort of, glues the mix together, to use a cliche. I'm not using the transformer here, which I usually use, but it wasn't working on this track. Okay, let's go from the beginning and we'll hear this on and off.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No
Okay, so that's that guy. And then it's going off to this API EQ which is again a very colorful unit. I use this a lot just on the master, the whole mix going through it. You can see here there's no EQ whatsoever. It's literally just the sound of the box, and I'm turning it down a little bit on the output just because it adds a little bit of gain so we can hear this one.
No streets are shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is going to seek higher ground. There's levels to shit elevator. My pango put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom. Let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If a brain genius.
So yeah, you can hear, I mean, for not doing EQ, that's doing a lot to the sound. For me, there might be a level difference. I don't know, but I mean, I think you can hear through that anyways. It's doing a lot more than that. And then these two in conjunction are pretty interesting too. So let's just bypass both of those at the same time. Well, as quick as I can anyways.
Brain genius might keep her around. Stay in your lane. It's only one street side sound. Only one street side sound. If a counterfeit bitch could just step into me, I'ma leave her ass bleeding 6 feet in the ground. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at.
So yeah, those two in conjunction are huge. I don't use them on every mix, but I use them on a lot of mixes together. Okay, and then that is going off to a Pultec passive EQ, and this is not, again, not doing any EQ, but it adds a lot of color just as insert. It's what I call insert quality. I don't know if that's a real term or I made it up, but that's what I'm going with. So let's hear this one.
But look at me now, done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. This beat is bitch made, I'm a dog, hungry hound, but I don't move pack no more. Solitary shorty, make it shit shake. I'm the princess of trap, I move castles like Howl.
Trust. Ugly blessed features and move castles like chess piece. Made the queen like done dinner, check please. Rappers is mad cause the bitch popped up. Slicker than y'all with this hip hop stuff. Deep in the pocket.
Okay, so that's that. Quite a bit of color. I'm sure you can hear the difference there. I hope you can. The nerds are gonna get on me for having overs here on the meter. Okay, yeah, again, this is not doing anything. It actually doesn't need to be there, but I'm leaving it on for good luck. Okay, so, and then this is the last one here on this bus. Again, the whole mix is going through all of these. So what I do with this guy, I mean, it's a great sounding EQ. You're gonna think I hate EQs if you're watching this. He's like, he uses EQs and he doesn't use the EQs. It's weird. Okay, so this is what we call mid-side. If you're unfamiliar with that type of processing, basically it's, so we had multi-band before, we were splitting it into low, medium, and high, 3 bands. So this is splitting it into 2 bands, and the 2 bands are mid, so that doesn't mean bad, but it means in the middle, like center, like the center signal, right? So like, you know, whatever you don't have panned, left or right. So that's the mid signal over here on this side, and then the side signal, that's the other one. So that's things that are panned out left and right, and that's over here. So yeah, you get different, both controls for mid and side. And then what I'm doing here is high passing the side signal. So, oops, sorry. The side signal that's panned out here wide, that's getting high passed at 50 hertz. So everything below 50 hertz is getting rolled off. And then on the mid signal, the center signal, I'm doing basically the opposite, and we're low passing. So we're rolling off the high frequencies from 19.5 kilohertz and above. So very, very high up, very at the top of human hearing range. And that just, it just gives it, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I don't use it on every mix. I don't think there's anything I use on every mix, but it just sort of gives it a nice separation and tightness when it's desired. It doesn't, work on everything. But yeah, on this one, it's doing the biz. And then what else? There's just this 101% stereo width. So it's just ever so slightly making it wider. So we can hear this on and off.
Pocket a princess with the heat of a rocket. Bang. The price is rising, so hit the beeper and lock in. With the bass in the trunk, the street side is seismic. With the tape in the tuck, they rewind and vibe it. No need to fuss and seek to define it. She weaved through the scene in some seams that's designer. Toes down in tandem, so count them up 20 times. Cats couldn't fuck with us if they had over 20 lives. Pulled up like strippers, so you know we making money fly. Never in 100 lives have you heard a honey like shorty.
Okay, so if it's not clear, when I'm going like this, that's me bypassing the plugin, and when I'm giving the thumbs up, that's the plugin back on again. And you can see on the screen as well, the plugin going on and off. So just in case that's not clear. Okay, so the whole mix is going through all those plugins, so we could bypass them all, I guess.
A couple of bars, a couple of bangs, a couple of scars, a couple of blunts, a couple of drinks, we doubling up, The link with twins, moshing with the baddest foes. Here to buck the status quo, we raised the bridge, so now the castle closed. Ha.
Yo, a bitch made this?
If you wanna find me, you can catch me on the street side. Shorty brought the beast, so you...
Okay, so that's that. Go back to the beginning here. So that's the master bus. And then from there, it's going to my small mastering chain. So I can just show this quickly. So this is an EQ. Again, we're doing mid side here. So on the mid signal, the center signal, I'm just sort of expanding the low end, boosting it a bit, but also expanding it. So dynamically, it's raising it up when it gets quieter, basically. And then on the high end, same thing, but for the side signal. So this is going to give more width, usually. And, obviously it's going to give more... I think it's, in this case, it's doing more on the low end than it is on the high end. And I'm using it to just sort of get the kick to come at you a little bit. So we can hear this on and off.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped up.
Okay, so that's that guy. And then it's not a lot else, really. It's just... This is what, like 0.2 dB of upward compression, so bringing up the quiet stuff ever so slightly, and then 2 decibels of limiting, just to round it out. So that's on the back end, and then we've already looked at the beat, so we can go to now the vocal. So we have Maddie's vocal here, Street Side Sound herself. So we're just applying a little bit of noise reduction because she's recording on a USB mic for now. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe she wants to. It's a sound, right? It's a vibe. And this is the thing here. We didn't want to get rid... There's sort of a mellow hiss going on. It's almost like vinyl reminiscent. And it gives a vibe. It was getting a little too much, especially because at one point there's her vocal is like radio filtered, and that was exaggerating the noise quite a bit. So I'm just using a little bit of isotope magic here to tame the noise without affecting her vocal sound too much. And yeah, we can hear this. Let's hear this in solo.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was...
Okay, so she's gonna hate me for doing that in solo. Sorry, Maddie. Okay, so yeah, I don't think there's much point in... I mean, maybe there was not actually any point in doing that and showing on and off, but either way, I'll learn. It's my first day. Okay, and then we've got some EQ going on here. So this is, you can see this is all side stuff here. Again, it's mid-side, but this is just the side part. And the reason is because this is a stereo track, and it's the lead vocal in the middle, and then she has like background vocals pan left and right, and so this is to deal with the background vocals specifically. So I'm rolling off some low end. I'm dynamically cutting some low mids here around 260 hertz. I'm giving a bit of a boost here around just under 2 kilohertz. So this is a like sort of a telephonic type of range. So it's going to cut through easily, like a radio voice sort of thing. And then just a slight adjustment here around 4.5 kilohertz. And then the next thing here is this center plugin. I like this plugin. I didn't use it for a long time. I bought it and then I was like, why did I buy this? And then eventually I realized why. It's really good in mastering, or basically anytime you have a stereo file and you want to manipulate the difference between the center signal and the side signal. You can tell this is coming up a lot, so I guess it's important or something. Okay, so I'm not doing anything. Actually, this is the funny thing. Again, I'm not doing anything with these main controls here. I'm not adjusting the side or center. What I am adjusting is these up here. There's these 3 controls: punch, high, and low. And again, it's dealing with between the sides and the center. So by default, they're going to be right in the middle. 12 o'clock here. I just need to grab a drink 1 second. Scratchy throat. So I don't know. These, it's just vibe thing really for me. It's just feel. But sometimes I will play around with these controls and see what I can get out of them. See what they do. See if I like it one way or the other. Or maybe, not. But yeah, so what I'm doing here, you can see, is punch is going to the center, and the high is going to the sides, and the low is staying right where it was in the middle. So we can hear the difference here.
Knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No streets I shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is gon' wanna seek higher ground. There's levels to shit elevator. My pain gon' put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. My pick.
So I don't know what you can hear. For me, it just seems to focus the lead vocal. It just sounds better with it on. Whatever these 2 controls are doing, the way I set them, I like it. That's why I did it, I guess. Okay, and then that's not happening either. So that's also just there for good luck. Oh no, actually, you know what that is? This is automated. I remembered. So this is later on in her verse when it gets to the radio filtered sound I mentioned. So this is just to control some of that hiss that gets a little excessive in this part.
Only one streets I sound. If a counterfeit bitch could just step into me, I'ma leave her ass bleeding 6 feet in the ground. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. This beat is bitch made. I'm a dog, hungry hound, but I don't move pack no more. Solitary shorty, make it shit shake. I'm the princess of trap. I move castles like Howl.
Trust. Ugly blessed features and move castles like chess.
Okay, so we can see through that sort of transitionary period there with the filtered voice. This high shelf is just sort of gradually fading down a little bit more. Just because it's a sparse section and you could really hear that hiss. Okay, so that's Maddie's vocal. That's Maddie's vocal track anyways, but then the real fun begins here on the bus. So here we're dealing with her mid vocal, so the lead vocal, and we're rolling this off pretty steeply at about 94 hertz, and then we're giving a bump here above that, because that's sort of where her voice starts, and below that it's just garbage. We don't need that. So yeah, being it's a pretty steep slope. That's what I wanted here, and then that's cleaning it up, going into this compressor here, So that's a good idea. Just housekeeping, you don't want to send unnecessary gunk and amplify it and magnify it. So again, this is a very colorful box. I like my colorful boxes. Colorful with a U. So yeah, we'll hear this guy on and off. Should go back to the beginning, I guess.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing round.
So I think you can hear in solo especially, it really brings the vocal forward. It makes her seem bigger, closer to you, right? It's good, more vivid. You can see the hi-fi, dark hi-fi knob here. I'm going more towards hi-fi, and just getting a little bit of compression, just half a dB to a decibel. Okay, so the next thing is the de-esser. Sorry, I have to start talking quieter. My voice is failing on me. I just sit in the studio alone, no one to talk to. So, okay, and then the next thing is a de-esser, just to keep the S's in check after the compression. They weren't really an issue before, but they started to stand out a little bit after.
Down, just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm fire.
Okay, stepped out the shadows. Of course, she's going to have a lot of S's, street side sound. So just to make sure those are not getting a little harsh and stepping out. Next we have, next we have the RVox. So again, this is a lot of color. It adds some low mids. This compressor, we're just using a tiny bit of it, but let's hear it.
Firing rounds, no street side shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is going to seek higher ground. There's levels to shit elevator, my pain gon' put me in a.
Yeah, again, it's doing a similar thing in a different way, a different color, but it's bringing as the MJUC here, but yeah, it's just bringing her closer, more forward, more full, bigger, bigger than life. So let's try bypassing both of these at once if I can pull it off.
Me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom. Let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If her brain genius might keep her around. Stay in your lane, it's only one street.
Yeah, just sort of brings her right into focus with you instead of being a little further back, which isn't quite right for this. It's more engaging, with her more forward. She's telling the story. Okay, so then we're going into an SSL channel here, and we're doing just a little high frequency shelf boost around 7.5 kilohertz. I don't think there's anything else going on, is there? No. I mean, you may be getting a little bit of light compression into this because it's not bypassed, but yeah, just a bit of the high frequency on an SSL it's not completely clean. Like, it doesn't sound anything. If you do a boost with, your stock DAW, I'm not trying to encourage anyone to buy anything or whatever, but just stating facts that, like, this EQ sounds different. It's got a completely different character than like a Pro Q3 or your stock EQ in your DAW. And particularly this high frequency shelf. It's really nice on vocals. Sometimes you got to be able to judge it, right? But it's a flavor. We're using it here. Are we going to hear it?
Street side sound. Only one street, the soul of a street rat. But every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me.
Probably pretty subtle. Either way. Okay, then we're going into some tape here.
Look at me now, done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No streets I shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is going to seek higher ground. This level.
So it's just more color. I like what that's doing. And then I'm using this high frequency trim control to roll off a bit of highs. Basically, I like to use a lot of moves in conjunction sometimes, you know. I mean, you know, I could probably do a lot of this with, you know, 2 or 3 plugins or whatever it is, but I like to use a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Why not, right? You can't stop me. So yeah, basically what I'm doing is rolling off a little bit of high frequencies here so I can add high frequencies with other ways, with other colors, right? Like this guy, I think, probably, right? Yeah, a little bit of 10 kilohertz with the pull tech. And it'll just be filling her out a little bit as well on the low end. Even though there's no boost, we know it already, it just does that.
This levels to shit elevator. My pain gon' put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom. Let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If a brain genius might keep her around. Stay in your lane, it's only one street sight sound.
Yeah, again, similar thing. A lot of things working in conjunction towards the same goal. And then we have Soothe 2 here, which is just a fancy, like dynamic EQ. And, you know, again, that's just sort of keeping any harshness in check and also maybe taming some room resonances and stuff like that that may have come up through the compression. And before we go through yet another light bit of compression.
Only one street side sound. If a counterfeit bitch could just step into me, I'ma leave her ass bleeding 6 feet in the ground. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at.
Yeah, that's doing quite a bit, I think. Okay, so then we have the tube tech. So just another compressor here. So I think at this point maybe we'll bring up the other ones. So we have what? The MJUC. He's big. Make tube tech a little bigger. And then there's the RVox as well. So let's look at the action on all 3 of these compressors if we can get them all up on the screen at once. Okay, good enough. Maybe I'll bring this one closer here. Okay, so you can see when the needle's moving this way on these 2, and when the sort of red thing is shooting down on this guy, that's when the compression is happening. So you can I think what you'll notice is that they don't move at the same time. They do different, you know, they compress different areas of the sound.
All they got for me is excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat. But every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No streets I shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is going to seek higher ground. This levels to.
Okay, so what do you notice? I notice that, I'll tell you because you can't talk, I guess. I can't hear you. So this is the first guy, right? And, you know, it's not, none of them are doing much in terms of gain reduction. But this one is just got a little bit of movement more consistently, right? And then we've got the RVox, and maybe that one was harder to see. But this one is reacting more quickly, is what I was noticing. It was only doing little bits here and there, whatever, but it was very quick. And obviously we know they're both doing some tone color things. And then this guy, you could hardly see the needle moving ever. You might never have noticed it move, but it did once or twice anyways. But yeah, okay, so let's listen just without the tube tech now.
Levels to shit elevator, my pain gon' put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom, let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If her brain
Yeah, I mean, even though this needle is barely ever moving, I mean, I could definitely hear a difference on and off, right? It's a, but yeah, all of those. Here, maybe should we try to do all three bypass? Let's see if we can.
all they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm
Okay, that was bad. I shouldn't have. I should have hit the bypass, not the power on and off. Okay, learning, first day, etc. Anyways, so that's more or less what we got going on, I think. Yep. And then we've got effects. Wow. How long are we on this video here? I might have to pick it up in a second video because I don't know how long I can talk consecutively, honestly. But yeah, so we've also got the parallel chain. So this is
all they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that.
so this is distortion, a little bit of distortion, de-essing. So the S's, because I don't really want the S's coming from this channel. I want them coming from the main vocal. Hardcore compression and a bit more upward compression. Okay, so you can hear this with the parallel chain in and out. So parallel, if you don't know, it's basically it's like duplicating the signal and then doing extreme processing of some sort, compression, distortion, some sort of combination, wacky stuff, whatever you want. Something that's interesting, basically, but that would be too extreme to be the main sound of the vocal or whatever you're processing. But you do something interesting, and then you sort of turn it up gradually until you find the level where it's just underneath the main signal, and it's giving it energy, but you don't really hear it overtly. So yeah, you can get away with being more bold. So let's hear this. I'm gonna try to take the parallel chain in and out. I'll give the hand signal.
All they got for me's excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at me now. Done step.
So again, she just sort of gets quieter, I guess, but there's more to it than that, of course. I mean, it's all the things here that I did. Oh, and then in addition to the plugins, there's a boost here, just around 2 kilohertz. So let's hear that on and off.
Done stepped out the shadows, I'm firing rounds. No streets, I shorty, a girl from the gutter. You bitches is going to seek higher ground. There's levels to shit elevator, my pain go.
Yeah, just makes it stand out. I mean, you could, it's all decisions, right? There's no right or wrong. I like the way it makes the vocals stand out and become more vivid. It sits back in when you turn off that boost, which is fine. It's valid. It gives a more relaxed feel, I think, right? It gives a more chilled vibe. But I think I was trying to make the vocal, pop a little more. So yeah, so that parallel chain is on Maddie's voice, but it's not on Uggie's voice, who's we're getting to in just a second here, or maybe I'm going to do another video. I don't know. Okay, let's just quickly look at the effects as well. So there's a quarter note delay on her voice. Let's find that here. Where are we? Effects. So I'll have to turn this up, I think, right? You're not going to be able to hear it. So let me just pull up a control to turn it up here. Okay, so let's try to, can we just hear the delay? Okay, hopefully you can hear that. I don't really know. And then, yeah, you can see there's some automation here. So basically, this delay is at a low level most of the time. You don't really perceive it. But it's there just subtly filling up space. And it's a quarter note delay, right? So it's timed to the beat. And yeah, so it's it's what you might call an invisible delay. Because it's timed and it's quiet. And then it's coming up here at these points on the automation to be more audible, and actually you notice it. So it sounds like there's just a delay turning on here basically, but it's actually always there the whole time. So let's hear this automation.
Elevator, my pango put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from
you can hear that repeat on down, down.
My pango put me in a
Sorry.
levels to shit elevator, my pango put me in a penthouse, but no, I stay down. Might pick up a hooker who come from the bottom, let her top it off, get a taste of the crown. If a brain genius might keep her around.
Okay. So that's what's going on there. Oh, and there is one other little trick here, where I have two delay plugins here. So it's this H delay that's up. So this is, 90 beats per minute, like the track. But then this one here turns on near the end of her verse. This other one, and this one's set to 120. So that's obviously a division. So it becomes what? I don't know. I'm bad at math, but it becomes basically a different division. It's like, I think it's a dotted eighth note. I think. So like 3/4 of a beat, basically. Okay, so let's hear that where it switches on its own. So it stepped out the shadows and fire it round, round, round. Right? Okay, so that's just a little subtle trick. I'll turn that guy off. Okay, and then the other thing on her voice is this H3000 harmonizer thing. So I like to use this a lot on vocals. You don't want it too loud. It's basically like a chorus effect, but it's got some special magic mojo. And yeah, so you can see it's like sort of -19. So it's not, on its own, it's pretty loud, but mixed in with everything, you don't really notice it. It just sort of gives more depth and more width, and more excitement. And yeah, it just sounds like a record, basically, to use another cliche. But it's one I like.
All they got for me is excuses and some hi-hat. I'ma come up on my own, believe that. Love stories from the soul of a street rat, but every time that I dress up, no, I'ma eat that down. Just graduated, I need me a gown. They knew I was pretty, ain't no I'm profound. Was scared of the spotlight, but look at.
So that's that. It's a good plugin. I like it. Yep. So that's effects for Madi. So that's basically it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else going on there. And then we've got Uggy. So let's skip ahead a little bit here to his verse.
Trust. Ugly blessed features and move castles like chess piece. Made the queen like done dinner, check please. Rappers is mad cause the bitch popped up. Slicker than y'all with this hip hop stuff.
I'm telling you. Okay, so so Uggy doesn't have any plugins on his on his main track. Just a little bit of EQ here. So we got a bit of a pretty decent boost, actually. 2.5 decibels at like 1.2 kilohertz. So again, this is this telephonic sort of, this voice, right? So boosting that up a bit so he cuts through like he's on the walkie-talkie. And then this is just a little bit of cleanup here. His voice is very rich around 100 hertz. And you definitely don't. So this is just a decibel here. You don't want to take away from it, but I'm probably adding some extra, sauce thickener later down the line. So that's just to keep it from getting too stodgy. I think my voice is getting a second wind. Okay, so I was slagging there in the middle. Okay, so we got a high pass filter just to keep him clean. This one's not as steep as Madi's. It's 12 dB per octave at 60 hertz to be technical. So not as high up as Madi's either, because obviously his voice is lower. So you don't want to cut off that low fundamental of his voice and make him sound completely, filtered out or whatever, right? I mean, unless you do, but we didn't in this case. And then he's got the same MJUC here, so I'll try to get through this quickly.
Stuff deep in the pocket, a princess with the heat of a rocket. Bang. The price is rising, so hit the beeper and lock in. With the bass in the trunk, the street side is seismic. With the tape in the tuck, they rewind and vibe it. No need to fuss and seek to define it. She weaved through the scene and some seams that's designer. Toes down in tandem, so count.
Okay, so we can hear that one. Hitting it a little harder, getting a little more compression, maybe a little quicker, I think, than Madi's too. But yeah, so that's a good guy. Pretty much always use that on vocals. And then, yeah, he's getting the RVox as well. And again, we're hitting it harder than Madi, being a bit more aggressive, right? There's a lot of contrast in this record, and Uggie's obviously providing, a little bit more grit, where Madi's the sweet voice saying grimy things. We love it. So, and then he's going into the pull tack as well. So it's going to be adding the natural girth without the boost on the low end. And then we're adding a little 8 kilohertz for Uggie's voice. It's trendy, so we did it. Whatever. Okay, so let's bypass on this guy.
So count them up 20 times. Cats couldn't fuck with us if they had over 20 lives. Pulled up like strippers, so we making money fly. Never in 100 lives.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. He sounds so thin now without that. So yeah, that's great. Good EQ. We got the soothe on him as well. Different settings. You can see them there. I'm not going to go through them. There's too many knobs.
Lives if you were to honey like shorty. A couple of bars, a couple of bangs, a couple of scars, a couple of blunts, a couple of drinks, we doubling up, the link with twins, moshing with the.
Okay, so just doing the magic there, cleanup, keeping everything in check. Again, as it's gone through some compressors, some more stuff will come up, problems that you didn't notice before. So just to keep things in check. And then we got the tube tech as well. Same combo of compressors, but used a little differently on the two voices.
With the baddest flows.
So I feel like that's going to give it a bit of consistency, I guess. A sonic character that's similar, but, while customizing it to, what each voice needs.
Yeah, with this hip-hop stuff. Deep in the pocket, a princess with the heat of a rocket. Bang. The price is rising, so hit the beeper and lock in. With the bass in the trunk, the street side is seismic. With the tape in the tuck, they rewind and vibe it. No need to fuss and seek.
Okay, so that's that. You can see we're doing a pretty quick release here. This is on the manual mode. So the attack and the release knobs are relevant here, whereas I think on Madi's it was on the fixed mode. So whatever you might have seen here, it doesn't matter what these knobs are doing when it's on fixed, because like the thing says, it's fixed. So it's set to a set attack and release that can work well. And if it doesn't, then you have the manual one. Okay, so that's the tube tech, and that's all the plugins on Uggie. And then he's just getting this vocal underscore reverb. It's a reverb, but it's a delay, really. It's a delay plugin. It's Echo Boy here, and we're using this verb style. So it's a delay, but it sounds like reverb. It's short anyway, so you can see we're on the 30-second note here, so it's very short delay. If you translate it to milliseconds, it's like 62.5 milliseconds. So very short, but it's verby. And then if you pull this like advanced tab here down, there's this, where is it? Diffusion control, this guy here. So the more you make this, the more you turn this up, more diffuse, the more it becomes like reverb, basically. So we can try to hear this on its own. And we can't because it's really quiet, super, super quiet in the mix, just to add a little bit of space. And I don't know, it's a bit of vibe.
Princess with the heat of a rocket. The price is rising, so hit the people we're locking. Put the bass in the trunk, the street side to side, so you put the tape in the tuck, they rewind and vibe it.
Okay, so that's it. I had to turn it up like almost 30 dB to make it, like super audible like that. But it's in there. Let's take it in and out.
No need to fuss and seek to define it. She weaved through the scene in some seams that's designer. Toes down in tandem, so count them up 20 times. Cats couldn't fuck with us if they had over 20 lives. Hold up.
Okay, so that's that. And yeah, basically that's that. I think that's the whole mix. There's some automation. You can see there's some automation on the delay. We went through that. There's some, the EQ automation. We went through that. I didn't do a lot of automation. A lot of the time I'm doing, there's mixes. I don't know if they're mine, but I'm finding myself doing more and more automation all the time. And I've heard of mixes, of super big artists where, every single parameter is automated, which is insane. But yeah, I think that's basically it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something, and we're gonna wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed. I said that twice.